Hello, Chris. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful, my man, and thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Chris, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things, and I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Chris, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. They say some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Chris, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Chris, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And the mango tree wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. I tell you, it was such a beautiful moment that day. I was so excited. There is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Chris that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing. Your philosophies, your insight, your journey so far, the impact your work is having. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, my man, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Chris is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to be selfish, and even with the audience. And here we had a day with the amazing Chris. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
No, thank you. I appreciate that introduction and the good energy. I always say I'm just being myself, quote unquote. But it's good to know that what that entails equals some of these very traits and qualities that you're speaking to. I appreciate it. And I'm happy to share my story and my mentality and methodologies.
Beautiful, my man. And that's so beautiful being yourself. There's nothing greater than that. So, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, my man, for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Chris, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Chris on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, my man, we live in a world where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Chris, let's get started with your introduction. Talk
For
to us
sure.
about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Chris got here. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Chris,
Certainly.
over to you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you again for having me and being intrigued in my story and what makes me tick. So I will say that I currently speak to you as the owner and founder of a digital marketing agency called iXcel. It is based out of the greater Washington, D.C. area, so D.C., Maryland, Virginia, the DMV area. I am a native New Yorker, born and raised, and a transplant to DC, and so I hold both cities, NYC and DC, near to my heart. They are both my homes. Uh, I come from very humble beginnings. I come from, sort of the urban streets of New York City, parents hustling, trying to make ends meet. Didn't have much going there, but had heart and education and School of Hard Knocks, and was able to find my way into really good education, a top tier private school for high school, and a top 25 college in the US. And I took that education and ran with it, first in the direction of music and entertainment, which is an interesting earlier chapter to my story, and cut my teeth in a very transcending industry. And what I mean by that is it was changing itself live as I was involved in it. It was sort of pre-digital meets digital, beginnings of digital. But my story took me to changing a new industry in tech startups. I had just found that felt like the better future for me. And so, though I was an older rookie in tech startups, that proved to be an advantage in the sense that I had a little bit of seasoning and real world awareness. And that was the beginning of my tech startup career. And iXcel is an extension of that backstory. And I am all about trusting the process, respecting the game, the unspoken rules, almost sports-like. I treat business as a lifestyle, as my life's mission. My life's mission is to complete the task at hand, and the task at hand is to take Excel to as great of a height as it intends to go, whatever that might mean. So that's really where I'm at, and that's my backstory. I'm happy to share any details about questions.
Trust in the process and respect in the game. That's a profound one, and I got that. Beautiful. Well, thank you so very much for the wonderful stuff you're doing, Chris. You see, the impact is everywhere, and I love it. So let's begin with this. How can small businesses get traction with a limited ads budget?
So the question, as I hear it, is if you had one play in your playbook, because that's what a limited budget entails. It means less plays, or at least less depth of plays. So if you ask me if I had one play to run, it would be the least resistance way to get a contact information from a qualified person. Because everything else is details on that really core principle. And obviously the devil's in the details, but the spirit of the question, right? I'm here to teach people how to fish. And so the spirit of the question is, what am I really going for? Well, I speak as a lead generation professional, a demand generation professional. The gasoline to the engine is giving someone something that they care about enough to give you their email address or to give you their contact information, so that the remainder of marketing can happen for no ad budget. So the ad budget should be spent on the easiest way to acquire. And I believe that is
Hmm.
by using a lead gen ad. In other words, there's many different types of ads that one can do. The specific ad unit that I'm referencing is called a lead gen ad unit. That ad unit exists in a handful of platforms. It exists in Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. It exists in LinkedIn. It once existed in Twitter, while it was still Twitter, and they foolishly removed it. And since then, their advertising has gotten less relevant. And they also do technically have it in Google. However, as counterintuitive as it might seem, Google's lead gen ads leave a lot to be desired. So really, we're talking about Meta ads and LinkedIn. So if you're having a limited budget on the B2C side, I highly recommend Meta lead gen ads. And if you're having limited budget on the B2B side, I highly recommend a small budget with LinkedIn ads with an asterisk, which is LinkedIn ads are known to be expensive but high quality. And so it's counterintuitive to use a limited budget, but once you see the efficacy and efficiency, I leave it to the viewer and the listener if you proceed.
Wow, this is profound, my man. And you just taught us how to fish. Thank you so very much. Yeah, so what's your favorite digital marketing technique right now?
So my favorite digital marketing technique is to, and again, in the spirit of a mentality to share, you want to find the most personal connectivity channels and approaches while still maintaining the efficiencies of digital marketing, such as automation, personalization, etc. So the best channel that I've used has often been a direct message, a DM from a personal profile. Even historically, when I used to do, I joke sometimes, hand-to-hand combat in the form of DMing people in the music industry to see if I can get a meeting or a response. This is a little bit before the day-to-days of LinkedIn and, especially all the new platforms. And DMing people on MySpace and finding a better hit rate than when I email them. And so it's the personalization, both literally in the words you use, but also in the experience. It's almost like, look at me, I'm a human, right? You can hear my voice, you can see my face. Though the irony, because my LinkedIn image is a cartoon avatar, that's a little bit of my personal brand. But the fact is, you still understand who I am, my voice, my resume. And so I highly recommend using LinkedIn personal profile as your tool. And whether you manually reach out to the right people, connect with them, message them, or if you, in an automated way, while still maintaining the human element, personalization in your copywriting, maybe not a bulk message, maybe a draft that you manually approve. Still keep the human element is really the point to take away. But LinkedIn DMs have often been the best channel for me and many
Hmm.
others.
Hmm. Reaching the right people. I caught that. Very important. Okay.
For sure.
So, yeah, my man. So, what are the biggest mistakes companies make with their ad spend?
Well, the most effective ad spend is really almost, I'll give a football analogy. You work so hard to get someone to the goal line. An American football analogy, let me clarify. First and goal, and you're in the 10-yard line. But within the 10-yard line, there's different tactics to employ. There's less field. It's harder to convert. There's more people in the box. And so it becomes more difficult to convert, and you have to have a different mentality. But it's the most effective because if you're on the 1-yard line and you did all that work and you didn't score, you wasted all of that capital with a simple field goal. A difficult analogy to follow, but the point that I'm making is the best type of advertising is your goal line type of advertising, which is retargeting. Now, obviously, you need to have someone to have seen you and engaged or cared in some form in the first place to even have entered your retargeting pool. So there's an unfortunate need to find people of various hypotheses and types, not knowing the right answer, just knowing that an informed guess at the prospecting level will get the right people into your retargeting audience. At that point, you just attack your retargeting audience. And so my answer is you should be spending at least half of your ad budget on retargeting. And if you have a limited budget, then you have a limited prospecting amount because you need to spend half of your money in retargeting. Generally, that's how you should think about it.
Wow, this sounds pretty new to me, you see. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, my man. Thank you. So,
Absolutely.
what qualities do successful entrepreneurs share?
Well, this is something that I have to admit I'm still learning because I am building a company and I am an early founder in the sense that my company has a small head count. I'm not the prototypical big startup, raised millions of dollars, go hire 15 to 20 people type of story. We are a services company, we are bootstrapped, and so everything is very interpersonal, very intimate, very human to human interaction. And one of the lessons I've learned is your core first X number of hires need to be aligned with your mission and your vision and need to be, as we would say, business builders. It's easier said than done because many people are business builder mentalities and personas, but they simply don't have the skills. And many people have the skills, but simply are not of the business building mentality or persona. So it's easier said than done to find the right people. But when you have the patience to find the right people, though it can take long, you know what it is when you see it and feel it. And I would assume, because again, I'm still on my path, I would assume that those before me who have had success have had some similar version of that story. I've heard it anecdotally, and I've certainly experienced it. Your first few hires need to be business builders and need to be aligned in your heads and hearts.
The first new hires. I got that. So we have two more to go. Okay.
For sure.
So what is the yeah you mentioned startup just now. So what is the most exciting startup you've worked with?
Ah, so the most exciting startup I've worked with, to be fair to every other startup I've worked with, is the one that I was at the longest. And I think there's something to that because in technology and startup culture, um, it is a very transient world. Many people have the biggest, best ideas and can promise the world. And sometimes you get one level further because you convinced investors, to be fair, people whose job it is to give ideas money. Money. And so now you've gotten money from investors, and suddenly the wind is in your sails, and the wind is at your back, so you feel you're unstoppable. And yet I've heard many companies falter even with that momentum. So partially the reason why I say contactually is in part because I was able to grow at that company within roles. I was able to grow culturally. I was able to impact culture. And that is difficult to say in a transient industry like tech startups. Many people are 1 year and I'm gone. So I really appreciated, as I've often said, finding a home, landing on a beachhead and being able to flex my wings. And of course, there was success beyond that, meaning there were metrics to be proud of, certainly at Contactually. There's anecdotes and stories to share. But for me, the reason why it was my favorite was because I was able to really experience the full experience of a company and flex my wings and see what real culture felt like.
Which I think is very, very important. Okay, so finally, what would you like to leave the audience with, Grace? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about the beautiful stuff you're doing, or even open your services or programs, how can that be possible?
Certainly, yeah. So at the end of the day, I am a digital marketer by trade. As you can probably tell from this chat, I'm passionate about marketing. I love talking about solving puzzles. Everyone's digital marketing equals a puzzle to solve. So I'm always fair game to have a chat. We do represent a certain type of experience on the market. So though I am always happy to chat, it's often that my company is not the right fit for some problems to solve, and that's okay. But feel free to find me either at my main website. The company is iXcel, so spelled out as the word Excel, like Microsoft, so the letter I and then EXCEL .co, not .com, but .co. And I'm also very prominent on LinkedIn, always chiming in, always spending time on LinkedIn, accepting friend requests, chatting, if things are appropriate, of course. So, yeah, find me wherever I'm at.
Oh, listeners, find Chris wherever he's at. So that's going to be the end of the show, my man. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thanks, my man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.